Hi everyone, for today's video, I'm going to be talking about Mothership VIII Divine Rose 2 palette from McGrath. Now I am so excited to try this out because I have been admiring this palette from afar for the past few months now, ever since this was released. And the only thing that was stopping me from getting this is actually the price point because it was a little bit too expensive for me. And well, I've decided to get this because I was able to get it at a discount when I got this from Sephora Philippines. And also one other thing, this is the first time that I'm actually trying out a product from Pat McGrath, and I'm so excited. And you know, in the makeup world, Pat is known of creating this like magnificent looks for Fashion Week. I'm so excited to try this today. The packaging of the Mothership VIII Divine Rose 2 palette comes in this very nice carton box here. It's very pretty. I do love the imagery that we see here. Like, you know, it's very royal like, very divine. And when I first saw this, you know, when I opened this up from the packaging, this reminded me of death masks of pharaohs. Like, you know, you see them wear this inside their sarcophagus. So it reminds me of that. I hope I don't seem to sound morbid, but I find those death masks very, very artistically well made. And it reminds me of this. And of course, if we look at the packaging at the back here, we can see a lot of descriptions like the ingredients list of each of the eyeshadow palettes inside the packaging. And of course, there's an asterisk here for one of the colors, and it's called Rose Seduction, and it says it's not intended for use around the immediate eye area. And this has a 12-month use by date, and this is made in Italy. How wonderful. Okay, so now back to the packaging here. This type of like graphic design reminds me of some of those videos about, you know, those European music during the early 2000s. Like, you know, when you're always playing like this very nice music from Ibiza, and then you just have this kind of imagery as their music video. So I really love it. And of course, we have the roses here because after all, this is the Divine Rose palette. And we have golds here. We have nice vivid pinks. So this is what we're going to expect inside the palette. But one thing though that I notice here, there's a fly. So I don't know what the symbolism is for a fly in the packaging, but if there's one thing that I do understand about symbolisms and imagery of flies, is that they are actually a symbol of being hardworking and very persevering. So maybe that's that. And also one other thing, the main reason why, as I said earlier, like the imagery of the packaging reminds me of a death mask of pharaohs is because I can see the label of Pat McGrath here, which is very interesting, and it reminds me of a cartouche. And our cartouche, if you are not into Egyptian art and culture, it is how the pharaohs and queens, gods and goddesses actually have their names written in hieroglyphs, and it's always in this like kind of pattern. And one other thing, when we're looking at the logo here of Path, I have observed that some of the symbolisms here change depending on what type of product that you have with her. So since this is an eye palette, we have the symbol of the eye of Horus here. So I think that's the significance of it. Because if you have a highlighter or a powder, I think the icon here changes. All right, so let's open this. We just have to open the string here. And voila! Look at this beautiful packaging. Whoops. It's very reflective. And we have a label here of the names of the eyeshadow, so we will keep that here so that I just have something to refer to when I'm going to be talking about the eyeshadows, because this is a lot. And I think there's a protective film on top here. Let's remove that. So the main packaging here comes in a very reflective rose gold kind of packaging, and it's quite heavy. I have to say it's very, very heavy, and we'll still see the Pat McGrath logo here. Well, I'm gonna call this her cartouche. So we see the Pat McGrath cartouche here, which is absolutely beautiful. And of course, yeah, at the back, so we have some label that says Pat McGrath Labs Mothership used without caution. I love that. I love that. Okay, so let's open this eyeshadow palette. Well, Viola, so beautiful. Oops, and I can see that there's also a protective film here on the mirror, so let's just remove that first. So these are all of the colors found in the Mothership VIII Divine Rose 2 palette. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to swatch the colors one by one, And I'm just going to move the label here so that we have ample space to see each of the colors. Okay, so I'm going to start with this color here, and this is called Skin Show Rose Opal. Wow, it's a very nice color. It actually has a violet tone to it. Very nice and very pretty. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be rosy, but no, it wasn't. And it has a significant amount of color, especially when you swatch it on your arm, because here in the pan it looks very light, but it actually has a very nice color to it, which I actually like. Okay, and the next color here is Extreme Burgundy. This is a matte color. Oh wow, I think this is talc based eyeshadow, so this is matte, so that's why it's quite dusty. So we should be careful when we're using that. And this is very nice, aubergine color, a very nice deep violet color, very pretty. And the next color here is called Naked Blush. Oh wow, it looks like a brownie pink color. It has a hint of peach in it. Very nice and very pretty, and it's also a matte color. And the next color that we have here is called Divine Dusk. Ooh, that's a very nice shimmery color. Very pretty. And I'm so surprised on how the texture of the eyeshadows are so far, because it feels creamy on the fingers. And when you swipe it, I mean, you spread it, it's actually, like it spreads like butter. Okay, I'm just going to move my arm a little bit down here. And I'm going to swatch this color, and this is called Eleganza. Oh wow, that's a very reflective color. Nice pop of color, I like that. It almost has the same tones as this color here called Skin Show Rose Opal, but the violet tones of Eleganza is more vibrant, very pretty. Okay, and the next color that we have here is called Rose Seduction. Oh, look at that. What a beautiful, beautiful color. And it has a very slight shift to it, I think. Although it's a very rosy eyeshadow color. I see some hints of like gold in it. Very pretty. At least it adds some warmth into this color, because after all, rose colors are very cooling. Okay, next. And this is called Bronze Rose 005. What a lovely color. I love this color. It's a very nice bronzy color, and it has a little bit of warmth to it, which I actually love. Very pretty. And this next color here, this is the one that has, like, I think a tri-color shift to it, and this is called VR Sextra Terrestrial. What a name. So as we can see here, we still have that, rosy tone, violet tone that we see in a lot of the colors here, but it actually shifts into this, like, green shade. Very interesting. Now, truthfully, this is the first time that I'm going to be experiencing like trichrome or dual chrome eyeshadows. But as we can see here clearly on the swatch, that it's obvious that there are, like, it shifts to two colors between like a very vibrant pinky violet color into this very deep green color. But in between, you can see a little bit of some gold in it. Okay, and the next color is this magnificent gold color. I'm going to do this here, and wow, look at that. It's very foily, and this is called Gold Lust 001. Very beautiful, very pretty. Wow, amazing. I wasn't expecting this gold to be this vibrant. Amazing. And the last color here is called Astral Pink Moon. Oh wow, look at that. It's kind of watery, don't you think? And I can actually feel the glitter on my fingers, but it's not chunky. So I really appreciate that, because as I've said in some of my previous um, videos, I don't really like using chunky glitters on my eyes because they really hurt. But this is a very nice color, and this is a great topper, or even like as a highlighter on the skin. Alright, so these are all the 10 eyeshadow colors from the Mothership VIII Divine Rose 2 palette swatched on my arm. So what really attracted me to this palette was actually these three colors here, because they are very vivid, and they are, you know, some of the colors that I don't have in my collection, especially this nice rosy vibrant pink, which I have been looking for actually, and I'm so glad that I found it in this palette. Now I was also very excited to try out this trichrome color here, although right now on screen it looks like it's just pink, but if you know, you shift it, there you go, the green tones do come out. Now these two colors here are magnificent highlights, by the way, and I'm so excited to try them out. And this color here, I'm glad that this is actually in this palette, because it just gives this palette the ability to add depth and definition with the eyes, because a lot of the colors here are very shiny and very shimmery. Now, this color here reminds me of the color Fresco from Laura Mercier, but basing on the swatch that I did earlier, it's a little bit more peachy than the Fresco colors that I have from Laura Mercier, and I'm so glad about that, because, like, you know, although this is good to use as an eyeshadow, I think this can also be used as a blush. So what I'm going to be doing right now is I'm going to try some of the colors that I see here, and I just want to see how well it applies on my eyes, and also maybe I would like to try a few things as cheek colors, like maybe this nice color here, and also maybe these two as highlighters. So anyway, let's just play it by ear. But first, what I want to do is I just want to add some foundation on my face, and I actually want to try using these foundations from NARS. These are relatively new to me, so I don't know how they work yet, but let's just play around with it. Alright, so I think I'm okay with the coverage, and I'm just trying out this foundation today, by the way, and the foundation that I'm using is this foundation from NARS, and it is the Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation in Punjab, so it's medium 1. And I'm actually finding the foundation to be a little bit too yellow for me. Now, before I put all of this foundation all over my face, I actually just use a very thin layer, by the way. I actually tried this color first, and this is the color Stromboli, and this actually had, this is actually a very olive foundation, but when I swatched it earlier, it was just too green. Now, I have a hint of olive on my skin, but when a foundation is too olive, it doesn't work for me. So between these two foundations, the foundation color in Punjab is acceptable. Now, I didn't purchase these foundations, by the way. This was just a gift purchase. So that's why I'm just actually trying this out, and if I like the finish, if I like the way that it stays on my skin, maybe I'm gonna go to NARS and try to find my actual shade. And what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna set my face with some translucent powder, and I'm just going to lightly apply it. Now, the thing with radiant foundations is that it's actually best to use if you have dry skin, because the formulation just gives this glow to your skin. But if you have oily skin like I do, it's just gonna be too much of a shine. And the thing with radiant foundations also is that it reflects so much light back, and if you have oily skin and if you're using a radiant foundation, it's just gonna make your skin look so much lighter. So sometimes using a powder to tone down that shine, or just even to set it, can really help in minimizing that kind of, like, you know, not flashback, but that kind of reflectivity into the world. Okay, and because since I'm finding my foundation to be a little bit too yellow, I'm going to add a little bit of this matte radiant bronzer, and this will just add a hint of warmth, and it's also going to give my skin a little bit of that golden tone that I still have, because this yellow base foundation is just a little bit too light for me. So using this baked bronzer can really just help in, you know, in warming up my skin. And because this is like also a radiant powder, but it's a much more matter formula, this will just work cohesively with the radiant formula of the foundation. Alright, so I have some of this golden glow back, which I like, and it's just making my skin look more natural, so I'm happy about that. So let's proceed to playing with the eyes. Alright, so I'm moving a little bit closer, and we're going to start by using this eye base from Viseart, and I'm just gonna apply it generously all over my eyelids. Now, the reason why I'm using an eye base is because when I was reading through all of the descriptions and the step-by-step process of how to use these eyeshadow products, they actually advise there that you use like a mixing liquid from Meron when you're using one of the more vibrant eyeshadows. And since I don't have that, I am hoping that this eye base will actually help in making sure that all of the eyeshadow pigments are going to stick on my eyelids for the day. Alright, now for my eyeshadow look, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to play it by ear. Maybe I'm going to do one vibrant eye, and then I'm going to do one smoky eye. And I think I'm going to start by trying out this color here. And this is what I'm going to use as a transition shade. And I'm just going to apply it here along my socket line. Now, before making this video, I actually went to the Pat McGrath website, and this palette is still available, and the classic black packaging is also available because this rose gold colored packaging is actually a limited edition. Now, I actually bought this from Sephora, and the main reason why is because when I was checking out, prices, things like that, it's actually more expensive in Sephora, but because I had a discount coupon, it almost matched the price on the Pat McGrath website. As I've said earlier, I have been admiring this palette from afar for the past few months, and the first time that I actually saw this on Sephora Philippines, it was tagged as limited edition, and I said to myself, okay, it's another palette, it's another limited edition, I don't think I'm going to get that. Now, it was only a few weeks ago that I realized that this palette itself is not limited edition, but it's actually the rose gold packaging that is limited edition. And I was like, oh my god, if I realized that sooner, I would have gotten this palette sooner. But anyway, I think I'm just meant to have this palette right now. So yes, if you are someone who has been interested in trying out Pat McGrath products, and if you do not want to purchase through Sephora Philippines, and you want to purchase through the Pat McGrath website, these ship straight here to the Philippines, and the prices is actually much more cheaper than in Sephora. Okay, do take note of that. And also one other thing, if you're purchasing from the Pat McGrath website, and if you purchase more than 10,000 pesos, just expect to pay for customs fee and VAT when you receive your package. Oh, it's a very interesting color, although it has some peach undertones in it, but I think it only comes out when you start blending it into the skin. But it's actually very rosy in tone. After all, this is the Divine Rose palette. But yeah, I find it amazing that it actually adjusts to the skin tone. Okay, so that's my transition color down, and maybe I would like to try this vibrant pink color here. So I'm just tapping a little bit here on the brush head, and I'm just going to apply it into my socket line and just blend it. Oh wow, that's a very nice pinky tone. I like that. And it's very vibrant. That's so nice. Ooh. I've been looking for a color like this for quite some time now. Because it's a very playful color. It's a very girly color. And I'm also glad that it has more blue tones in it, because sometimes if you use pink eyeshadows and they're lighter and they have more white pigments in it, it can make you look washed out or maybe like even sick. But with this one, it actually has more blue pigments in it, and it's actually doing well in actually bring out my eye color, which is nice because on the get-go, when you look at the color story on the palette here, this works well with people who have blue eyes or green eyes or hazel eyes with hints of green in it, because it just really helps those eye colors to pop out. But I'm so glad, looking at it right now with these two colors down on my eye, it's looking like it's actually helping to make the gold tones of my eyes come out. Okay, so now I'm going to try this deep shade here, and I'm just going to use this to intensify my crease. so that we have some depth of color there. Now I do have to say that the eyeshadow colors are actually gliding well on my eyelid, and they're blending well together. Now I don't know where I'm going with this eyeshadow treatment, by the way, so let's just enjoy this process. Okay, and I'm going to try and pick up this deep shade here again, and then I'm just tapping off the excess here at the back of my hand, because I think because this is a matte, and based on the swatch that I did earlier, it can become quite powdery, so we just have to be very careful with that. And I'm just applying the color here all over my lash line, so this will just add some definition in that area. Okay, and maybe I would like to add a nice flick here in the outer corner so that we have a nice lift. And let's try to intensify the outer portion of my eye here, like the V area. Ooh, that's pretty, that's nice. Okay, I'm just going back into the deepest shade here. I'm just gonna apply a hint of that color here, so that when I open my eyes, it just helps in creating that very nice lift that I need. Okay, so I'm just buffing everything now, and I'm using the brush that I used earlier to apply the first shade of color. Okay, so now I'm getting this darker shade here again, and I'm just using it on my lower lash line, and I'm starting by adding the deepest shade here in the outer portion of my eye and gently blending it inwards. So this will just really help in opening up my eye, and just to help create that very nice dramatic look. Ooh, so pretty, love it. Alright, so now I'm gonna pick up some of this vibrant pink here, and I'm just going to add a hint of color here on my lower lash line and blend it and spread it all the way into the inner corner of my eye. Okay, so I actually want to pick up this color here, which I actually found interesting, like when I actually swatched it earlier, that it has some hints of it's like pink yet lavender. And I just like to try and use this here on the inner corner of the eye, and I'm just pressing it there, and I'm just spreading it just for some drama. This is a very lovely color. I like this. I actually want to leave my eye color like this because I kind of like the way that the yellow tones of my skin is working in emphasizing the the pinks and the deep violets color of the eyeshadow. It's very nice and very pretty, don't you think? But let's just play around with all of the colors, and maybe I would like to use this nice gold color here, and I'm just picking it up with this brush here, and I'm just going to tap it all over my eyelid. Ooh, this is looking to become a very festive and a very holiday-like eyeshadow look. This is a very playful palette, I do have to say. Very nice. Wow, look at that. So I'm just patting on this eyeshadow, and I'm being very careful with it because this has a lot of shimmer, and I just don't want any drop down. And so far, I don't have any drop down happening on my skin, so I'm actually glad about that. And I actually like how the gold eyeshadow here is mixing well with this very nice pink yet lavender highlight color. Very pretty. Wow, look at that. Very nice. I love it. What do you think? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments box. Okay, so let's add some of this bronze color here, and I'm just shifting to the clean side of the brush. So this is the same brush, and maybe I can use it here at the outer edge here, because it's a little bit deeper and it's a little bit cooler, so this should do well in adding some definition in that area. And I actually want to go back and to pick up this deep shade here and just add more color into the lash line, just so that we don't lose that definition. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now I actually want to try this highlight here. This looks very pretty, and I just want to add a little bit of that here on under the arch of my brow. but not too much. Very dramatic. And maybe just a hint here in the middle. Nah, it doesn't do anything, but it just adds some drama on the eye. Ah, very nice. So I'm gonna put some mascara now. And I'm concentrating the mascara here on the outer corners of my lashes so that we have a very nice lift going on. I really love this. This is very pretty, very playful. Perfect for a holiday, don't you think? Okay, now for the other eye, I'm going to try a much more smokier look, and I'm going to start by applying black eyeliner all over my lash line. Okay, and now I'm just going to smudge that just to make it appear smokier. And I'm not being very precise with the blending. I just want to smoke it out. Okay, so I'm gonna take some of this color here, and I'm just gonna apply that well into my crease. And I'm just gonna blend that into my socket line because I'm thinking of creating a smoky eye look for this. Then I'm getting a smaller blending brush and I'm just intensifying the color here along my crease and my socket line. Ooh, I like how it's looking. And with the same brush that I used earlier for this deep eyeshadow color, I'm going to get that again. And I'm just going to apply some of that here on my lower lash line. So we're just getting that very nice depth of color, and that would just also help us create a much more cohesive and unified color on the eyes. I'm not being very precise with it because after all this is a smoky eye, so blending is always the key. And I'm picking up some of this color here and I'm just applying that all over the lower lash line. It's going to add a little bit of some drama because of the shimmer, but it's also going to blend everything together. Ooh, look at that. I love that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this special shade here, the one that has like a trichrome shade. And I'm actually picking up a very generous amount of product. And I'm just going to lightly tap it all over my eyelid. And I'm just slowly building up the color and the coverage because I find these trichrome colors to be a little bit tricky because they play with the light and they also play with the shape of the eye and the way that you move. So as you guys can see right now, like if I move my eye to one side, the green tones come out in the inner corner of my eye here, and then when I move it here on the other side, the green tones do come out here, which is quite interesting. So that's the main reason why I decided to use more purplish, violet, plumish colors here, because they will be more cohesive together. Because this is like the first time that I'm using this kind of an eyeshadow product, and I just don't know what kind of personality it has and how it shows what kind of makeup effect that you're going for. And it's a bit tricky. Do I like it? Not so much, but it's a nice finish because for one other thing, like for example, when I look at you this way, the light hits my eyeshadow here and it's actually making my eye look lighter. And I actually want to have some definition in that eye area. So I was envisioning in my head that it's actually supposed to be darker there because when my iris actually is in that part of the eye, it just emphasizes the color of my eyes more. But with this, it's actually not because we don't see the deep tones of this eyeshadow, but it's a nice effect overall. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit more of some eyeliner here, and I'm going to concentrate the color here on the outer corners so that I just have that definition. Like, you know, when I move my eye here and then the violet tones come out, having this black eyeliner here just really helps in defining the eye and making the color of my eye actually come out more. Okay, so I'm picking up this nice highlight color here, and I'm just going to apply it here in my inner corner, just so we have some nice drama. Ooh, it's very pretty. And I'm gonna add a little bit of that here under my brow bone. Ooh, I'm actually loving this nice smoky plumish look, which is perfect for like the autumn season. It's also nice for like the winter holidays, for the holiday season, very nice and perfect. And I'm actually glad that you can have like a nice vibrant look and a nice sultry look with this palette, and all you actually need is some eyeliner and mascara. Now, speaking of mascara, that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm just going to add a nice layer of this volumizing mascara. I think this will help in defining the eye some more and adding more depth into this eye look. Alright, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to add some definition to my brows. Okay, and I can see that this foundation is already making me look quite shiny, so let me just remove some of this excessive shine. And I'm just going to add a hint of powder. Ooh, I actually like that my eye color is coming out with this eye look. I'm so surprised with that because, you know, it's a very pinky eyeshadow palette, lots of violets in it, and I wasn't really thinking that it was moody enough to make my eye look become sultry, but it's actually like working extremely well. And of course, I have an eyeliner, so that really helped. Okay, so now one thing that I would like to try is how will these colors look like as blush. So I'm just picking up a little bit of this color, and as you guys can see here, it's quite pigmented, so I'm removing any excess color here at the back of my hand, and I'm just going to tap it gently here on my cheeks. Oh, I can see some gold flecks falling on my cheeks now, but that's fine, it's not too much. Okay, so I think you can build up this eyeshadow color into a nice blush color. Now this eyeshadow has a very nice dimension to it. Although it looks kind of rosy, but it actually has some hints of brown in it, I think, that makes it look nice to use as a blush. Because I was also a little bit worried that if this was a little bit too pink, it might make your skin look ashy because, you know, pink has blue tones in it, and if you add a lot of blue tones on your skin, you can lose the vibrancy of that color and it can make you look a little bit washed out and pale. Oh, it's a very nice color. I like this as a blush. Very nice. Oh, wow. And it's quite cohesive also. They're working very well in complementing each other. Okay, now I want to try this very vibrant pink, but I'm just picking up a little bit of the color, and again, I'm removing any excess at the back of my hand, and I'm just going to apply it here on this side of my face, and I'm just building the color and just being very careful with building the intensity because it's quite a pigmented eyeshadow color, and I don't want too much of the color here on my cheeks. And the reason why I chose to use this color on this side of my cheeks is because I just feel that you need more of this very nice vibrant color just to counteract with the very moody nature of the eye look that I created. There's also some hint of violet shimmer in it. I know can you see it? And it's not stripy, which I actually like, and I'm also grateful for that. Because if it was any stripy or if it was silvery in nature, it would make my skin look a little bit ashy. But this one is more cohesive. It works together very nicely. I'm also quite surprised on how easy it is to actually blend out this color. Wow, very nice. Now I think this eyeshadow combination and cheek color is making me look a little bit 80s, but I don't mind that. Okay, so now I want to try some highlight on, and I want to try this color first, and I'm picking up a little bit of that color, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of it here on the highest points of my cheeks. Oh wow, it has a lot of micro glitters on it. I just think that the shimmers are just too obvious as a highlighter, but it's a nice look though because it's like really like, you know, making it pop. But I think this will work more as like, you know, a topper for an eyeshadow, or like even here on the brow bone. but here on the cheeks, I think you can really see it. It's quite, the glitters are quite obvious. So personally, I don't like that kind of highlighters for cheek products. Anywho, okay, and now I'm gonna try this highlighting color here, and I'm gonna try it here on the other side. It's adding a very nice dimension to the skin, but then again, as I've said earlier, this color, it has like hints of pink and lavender in it, so it's making the blue tones of the, like, you know, of this color come out, and it's also appearing quite stripy on the cheeks, but it's a nice look, you know. It's very editorial, very dramatic. If you want, if you are someone who likes your um you know, cheek colors this way, just make sure that you'll blend it in properly. And also one other thing, if you have lighter skin tones than I do, just make sure that you use you know, very light layers and build onto the intensity that you want, because if you start off with a very intense color, it might be very difficult for you to blend it out. Now, before I let you go, just an update on the foundation. So the NARS Natural Radiant Foundation, Longwear Foundation, I have noticed that it's actually settling into my pores. So if you are someone who has some visible pores like I do, maybe use like either a blurring primer or a pore filling primer, because that might help so that this foundation will not, like, you know, cling into your pore area. And I do have to say one thing though, is that I like the consistency of it. I like how sheer it can be when you apply it, and I also like that you can actually build it up. And I also like that I can actually layer on some powders on it, and it's not actually clinging. The powders is not clinging to the formula, which I like, and that really helps in making it easy to work with. So I really love that. Now, the Divine Rose 2 palette from Pat McGrath is a very, like, you know, playful palette, and if you are someone who is into eye looks like this, it's a good palette to have. Now, I did enjoy, like, you know, playing around with this palette, and I'm looking forward to playing around with it some more. And, like, you know, I think it's perfect for the holiday season, and I'm just glad that it's still available on the Pat McGrath website and on Sephora Philippines website. So anywho, that's it for me today. I'm gonna let you go now because it's starting to rain. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any more comments or questions about all the products that I used today, please leave them down in the comments box and let's have a conversation about it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you're having a good day wherever you are. Bye! Very dramatic. Very dramatic. I think I'm gonna use this palette more for, like, you know, editorials or for stage makeup, fashion shows maybe. Cool.